Commander Jack Harlow wiped sweat from his brow as he stepped onto the surface of planet XR7. The air was thick and smelled like copper. Behind him, 4 team members exited the scout ship, their boots crunching on the reddish soil. "Spread out, standard search pattern," Jack ordered, checking his scanner. "Remember, we're just here to look. No engagement." Lieutenant Diane Foster nodded, adjusting her equipment. "Readings show breathable atmosphere but high levels of unknown compounds. Masks recommended, sir." The team moved through a strange forest of twisted blue vegetation, tall structures that looked like trees but had hard metallic bark stretched toward the orange sky. Jack touched one, feeling its cool surface. "This isn't natural growth," he said. "These were made." Specialist Greg Winters whistled. "Someone's been busy. Advanced tech, definitely." They reached a clearing where the ground dropped away into a vast valley. Jack froze, raising his hand to halt the team. Below them stretched a massive city of curved structures and towering spires. "My God," whispered Diane. "It's beautiful." Jack's scanner beeped urgently. Movement, multiple signatures heading this way, fast. The team ducked behind the metallic trees as something crashed through the underbrush nearby. Jack peered around the trunk and saw her, a tall, slender figure with iridescent skin running on 2 powerful legs. Blood the color of oil leaked from a wound in her side. Behind her, larger figures with elongated heads and razor-sharp claws pursued, moving with terrifying speed. "She's being hunted," Jack said, drawing his weapon. "Commander, protocol states," began Security Officer Paul Reeves. "I know the protocol," Jack snapped, "but I'm not watching an execution. Cover me." Jack stepped into the clearing, firing 3 precise shots over the heads of the pursuers. The creatures stopped, their heads swiveling toward the humans with predatory focus. "Now we've done it," muttered Winters, raising his rifle. The wounded alien female stumbled toward them, clutching a small container to her chest. Her eyes, 3 of them, arranged in a triangle, locked with Jack's. "Retreat to the ship," Jack ordered. "Now!" They ran, the alien female keeping pace despite her injury. Behind them, the larger aliens let out piercing shrieks that made Jack's ears ring. Diane helped support the wounded alien as they sprinted toward the scout ship. "They're gaining!" shouted Reeves, firing backward. They reached the ship just as the first of the pursuers broke through the tree line. The team scrambled inside, Jack covering their retreat with suppressive fire. The wounded alien collapsed on the deck, still clutching her container. "Get us out of here," Jack yelled to the pilot. The engines roared as the ship lifted off. Through the viewport, Jack watched dozens more of the predatory aliens emerge from the forest, staring up at the departing ship. Once in orbit, Jack turned his attention to their unexpected passenger. She was breathing rapidly, her wound seeping dark fluid onto the deck. "Med kit," Jack ordered, kneeling beside her. The alien's 3 eyes blinked slowly as she pushed the container toward Jack. The surface was transparent, revealing something moving inside. "What is it?" Diane asked, leaning closer. The container's seal broke with a hiss. Before anyone could react, a small creature, clearly a juvenile version of the predators that had been chasing them, leaped out and sank its teeth into Diane's wrist. "No!" Jack shouted, raising his weapon. Everyone on the ship drew back in horror. The bite of these creatures was surely venomous. But instead of screaming in pain, Diane stared at the small predator with fascination. Her lips curved into a smile. The alien cub's venom should have killed her instantly. Instead, Diane's eyes flashed with an unnatural glow as she whispered, "I can see them now. I can see all of them." The quarantine chamber was cold and sterile. Jack watched through the glass as doctors in hazmat suits examined Diane. She sat calmly on the medical table, the small predator cub now curled against her side like a pet. 3 days had passed since their return to Earth Station Alpha, and the military brass was losing their minds. "She should be dead," said Dr. Vance, reviewing data on his tablet. "The toxin in that bite would kill an elephant. Instead, her DNA is changing." General Harris frowned, his weathered face tight with concern. "Changing how?" "It's merging with the alien genetic material, creating something new." Jack stepped forward. "I need to speak with her." Absolutely not, snapped Harris. Lieutenant Foster is now classified as a biological hazard. She saved our lives on that planet, Jack argued. She's still one of us. The general's eyes narrowed. Is she? Look at her, Commander. Through the glass, Jack saw Diane turn her head. Her eyes glowed with the same strange light he'd seen on the ship. She smiled directly at him as if she could hear their conversation despite the soundproof barrier. Let him in, Dr. Vance said suddenly. She's been asking for him and we need information. Inside the chamber, Jack approached cautiously. The predator cub watched him with intelligent eyes but made no aggressive moves. How are you feeling? Jack asked. Diane looked up. Different, better. Her voice had a slight echo to it now. They're not just predators, Jack. They call themselves the Vex. And they're running from something. The female we rescued? Shrike. She's important to them. A leader. Diane touched her temple. I can see fragments of their memories, their world, their war. Jack leaned closer. What war? Who are they fighting? Diane's eyes flashed brighter. Something ancient, something that harvests worlds. They're coming here next, Jack. An alarm blared through the station. General Harris burst into the room, face pale. We've lost contact with the Titan colony, he said. Then Europa. Something's taking out our outer settlements. Jack felt his blood run cold. How long until they reach Earth? Days, maybe hours. Harris looked at Diane with new interest. What else do you know about them? They want us, Diane said. Our genetic material. They've been hunting the Vex for centuries, but humans are new. Special. We need to prepare our defenses, Jack said. Harris nodded grimly. And we need to understand what's happening to the lieutenant. If this connection can give us an advantage... I'm not letting her become a lab experiment, Jack interrupted. This isn't about one soldier, Commander. This is about the survival of our species. Later, in a secure lab deep within the station, Jack discovered files marked Project Chimera. Inside were plans to weaponize alien DNA, dating back years before their mission to XR7. They had known about the Vex, they had been searching for them. He rushed back to the quarantine chamber, but Diane was gone. Alarms wailed throughout the facility. He found her in a corridor, surrounded by security personnel with weapons drawn. Her skin had begun to change, patches taking on the iridescent quality of the Vex. The cub stood protectively at her feet, now noticeably larger. They knew Diane, Jack said. The mission was never about exploration. Diane nodded slowly. I know. I've seen it in their minds. She pointed to the head scientist cowering behind the guards. They've been experimenting for years, trying to make soldiers like me. As alarms blared throughout the facility, Jack watched in horror as Diane's skin rippled with scale-like patterns. They're already here, she said, her voice overlapping with something inhuman. And they've been inside me all along. The sky above Earth burned red as the harvester ships tore through the atmosphere. Jack watched from the command deck of the last functioning military carrier as defense satellites exploded one by one. 3 weeks of brutal fighting had reduced Earth's fleet to scattered remnants. Status report, Jack demanded, his voice rough from lack of sleep. Not good, Commander, replied Lieutenant Chen, her face lit by emergency lights. We've lost contact with the Asian defense grid. European forces report 80% casualties. Jack slammed his fist on the console. And the mission team? Ready in Bay 4, but sir, this is a suicide run. Jack nodded grimly. Maybe, but it's the only play we have left. In the launch bay, Diane waited with the Vex Predator, now the size of a large wolf. Her transformation had progressed, her skin now a patchwork of human flesh and iridescent scales, her eyes permanently glowing. Next to her stood Shrike, the female Vex they had rescued, now recovered from her wounds. The harvesters have taken the orbital platform, Diane said as Jack approached. She didn't need reports anymore. She could sense the enemy movements. They're extracting humans for processing. Processing? Jack asked, checking his weapon. Shrike made a series of clicking sounds that Diane translated. Genetic harvesting. They take what they need, discard the rest. Why? What do they want with our DNA? Evolution, Diane answered. The harvesters can't evolve naturally anymore. They steal genetic material to advance themselves. The ship rocked as something hit the hull. Alarms wailed. We're out of time, Jack said. Everyone on the shuttle now. Their small team boarded the stealth craft. Jack, Diane, Shrike, the Predator Cub, and 5 elite soldiers. Their mission? Infiltrate the Harvester mothership and deploy an experimental weapon designed from Diane's changing DNA. As they approached the massive alien vessel, Jack studied Diane. Despite everything, he still saw the woman he had served with for years. The woman he cared for. Are you still in there? He asked quietly. Diane turned to him, her transformed face softening. I'm here, Jack. Different, but still me. The shuttle docked silently on the underside of the Harvester ship. They cut through the hull and entered dark, organic corridors that pulsed like living tissue. This way, Diane whispered, leading them through the labyrinth. I can feel where they keep their control systems. They passed chambers filled with humans suspended in fluid-filled pods. Jack forced himself to keep moving, complete the mission first, then save who they could. In the central chamber they found Admiral Keller, Earth's highest-ranking military officer, speaking with a tall, spindly creature. The Admiral's working with them, gasped one of the soldiers. Jack raised his hand for silence, but it was too late. The Admiral turned, his face expressionless. Commander Harlow, I wondered if you'd make it this far. His voice sounded wrong, mechanical. Why, Admiral? Jack demanded. Why betray your own species? Betray? I'm saving us. The Harvesters offered me evolution instead of extinction. Diane stepped forward. He's not human anymore, Jack. He's been completely taken over. The Admiral smiled unnaturally. Not taken over. Improved. As you have been, Lieutenant Foster. You understand the gift they offer. What I have is different, Diane said. I'm both human and Vex. I chose this. Choice is irrelevant. Evolution is inevitable. The Admiral's face split open, revealing the Harvester parasite within. As it lunged toward Jack, Diane stepped between them, her transformed arm slicing through the creature. I'm still me, she said, alien blood dripping from her claws. For now, the underground bunker hummed with activity as humans and Vex worked side by side. 1 month after the encounter with Admiral Keller, Jack had established this hidden base in the ruins of what was once Seattle. It was one of the last free outposts on Earth. The Harvesters have taken the entire eastern seaboard, reported Sergeant Miller, pointing to a holographic map. They're converting humans at an alarming rate. Jack nodded grimly. And our allies? Shrike stepped forward, her iridescent skin catching the dim light. Through Diane's translation, they had learned she was not just any Vex, but their queen, the last of her royal line. My warriors report success in South America, Diane translated as Shrike made clicking sounds. The resistance there grows stronger. Jack studied the alien queen. The alliance had been born of desperation, but it was working. The Vex were formidable fighters, and with their help, small victories were possible. We need more than small victories, Jack said. We need to cut off the head. Diane stood nearby, her transformation more advanced now. Scales covered most of her body, and her fingers had elongated into claws. Yet her eyes remained human, determined. I've been connected to the cub's mind, she said. The Predator, now nearly full-grown, sat at her feet. I've seen something, a weakness in the Harvester mothership. She placed her hand on a scanner, projecting images directly from her mind. The team watched as a schematic of the massive alien vessel appeared. Here, she pointed, their central neural network. It controls all Harvester forces. A direct assault would be suicide, Miller objected. Not an assault, Jack said. An infiltration, small team, stealth approach. As they planned, a human scientist named Dr. Ramos approached. Commander, I've analyzed Lieutenant Foster's blood samples. The Vex DNA is completely integrated now, but it's unstable. What does that mean? Jack asked. It means I'm running out of time, Diane said quietly. Soon I'll either become fully Vex, or the conflict between the species will tear me apart. Jack felt his chest tighten. There has to be a way to stabilize it. There is, Dr. Ramos said hesitantly. A pure sample of Vex genome could act as a stabilizing agent, but it would complete her transformation. She would no longer be human. The room fell silent. Jack looked at Diane, trying to hide his pain. We focus on the mission, Diane said firmly. My condition is secondary. That night, as the base slept, Jack found Diane on the observation deck looking at the stars. The predator cub lay beside her, watching Jack with intelligent eyes. You should rest, Jack said. I don't sleep much anymore, she replied. The Vex part of me doesn't need it. Jack stood beside her. Diane, about what Dr. Ramos said. I've made peace with it, Jack. This was never about me. It is to me, he said quietly. She turned to him, her transformed face softening. I've discovered something in the harvester data we stole. They've been manipulating both our species for thousands of years, guiding our evolution. Why? To create the perfect hybrid, someone like me. She looked down at her clawed hands. I think I'm what they've been trying to make all along. Before Jack could respond, alarms blared throughout the base. They rushed to the command center where chaos reigned. Harvester forces approaching from all directions, Miller shouted. We've been betrayed. On the security feed, they watched as one of their own scientists opened the outer doors, allowing Harvester troops to pour in. Get everyone to the escape tunnels, Jack ordered. We need to save who we can. As they evacuated, the Harvester Queen herself appeared on their communication screens. Her face was a twisted merger of human and alien features. Bring me the hybrid, she hissed. She belongs to us. As the Harvester Queen's psychic assault overwhelmed their defenses, Diane locked eyes with Jack. There was never another way, she said, injecting herself with the pure Vex genome. Her scream echoed through the ship as her transformation began. Not into a monster, but something entirely new. Light filled the room as Diane's transformation completed. Where she had stood was now a being of breathtaking power, her skin a perfect blend of human and Vex, glowing with inner light. Her eyes held galaxies. Diane, Jack whispered, reaching toward her. She smiled, her voice resonating with new depth. I am still here, Jack. And I am so much more. The Harvester troops burst through the door but froze at the sight of her. Diane raised her hand and they fell to their knees. We need to move, she said calmly. I know how to end this war. 3 days later, Jack stood on the bridge of a combined human-Vex battleship approaching the Harvester mothership. Earth burned below them, but hope burned brighter in his chest. Fleet in position, Commander, reported Miller. Jack nodded. Begin the attack. Across the solar system, the last free forces of humanity and their Vex allies launched a coordinated assault. It was a desperate gamble, but with Diane's knowledge of Harvester weaknesses, they had a chance. The Queen's vessel is opening, said Shrike through the translator. Diane is inside. Jack watched the massive screen as Diane, now fully evolved into something beyond either species, approached the Harvester Queen's chamber alone. The adult predator that had once been a cub walked beside her, now her guardian and companion. She should not face this alone, Jack said, gripping his weapon. Ha 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 ha, you humans and your attachments, Shrike clicked, but her tone was respectful. She is no longer what she was, yet you still care for her. I always will, Jack replied simply. Inside the Queen's chamber, Diane confronted the ancient being who had manipulated both species for millennia. The Harvester Queen towered over her, a grotesque collection of stolen genetic material from 1,000 worlds. You are my greatest creation, the Queen hissed, the perfect evolution. I am not yours, Diane replied. I belong to myself. The Queen attacked with psychic force that would have destroyed a normal mind. But Diane was no longer normal. She absorbed the attack and pushed back, entering the Queen's consciousness. In that moment she saw the truth. The Harvesters were once like humans before fear of extinction drove them to become parasites. stealing what they could not create. Alas, you forgot how to evolve naturally, Diane said. You forgot how to live. On the battleship, Jack and the others watched as energy surged through the mothership. Systems began to shut down across the Harvester fleet. What's happening? Jack demanded. She's rewriting their control systems, Shrike explained, wonder in her voice. She's using her unique biology to change their programming. The battle raged for hours. Many ships were lost, many brave fighters sacrificed. But slowly the tide turned. The Harvester forces began to retreat or shut down entirely. When it was over, Jack led a team to the mothership. They found Diane in the Queen's chamber, standing over the fallen ruler. Is she dead? Jack asked. No, Diane said. Changed. I showed her another way. The Harvesters were once creators, not destroyers. They can be again. Diane turned to Jack, her transformed face beautiful and strange. I must go with them, Jack, to ensure they keep their promise, to help them remember who they once were. Will you come back? He asked, his voice breaking. I don't know, she said honestly. This is just the beginning of something new, for all of us. In the weeks that followed, Earth began to rebuild. The alliance between humans and Vex grew stronger. They shared technology, culture, and hope. Jack stood on a hillside watching the sunset, the adult predator now at his side. The creature had chosen to stay when Diane left with the reformed Harvesters. Ho ho, look at us now, Jack said to the predator. Quite the odd pair. As humanity celebrated their survival, Jack watched the stars where Diane had gone to build their new future. The predator, now fully grown, nudged his hand. Its bite wouldn't kill him. It would transform him. Ready when you are, Jack said, extending his arm.